reacting to something I have never seen yet before.
Bite of history? Let's take a look at the originals, like revisiting old friends. Nathan's Famous, 1916. Let's start our journey back in time, to a place many of you might remember, the birthplace of modern American fast food, the sunny, salty air of Coney Island, New York. Back in 1916, a Polish immigrant named Nathan Handwerker opened a hot dog stand right there. Now, German-style hot dogs were already pretty popular in New York, thanks to German immigrants bringing their Frankfurter recipes to the States. And Charles Feltman, another German immigrant, was doing quite well with his own hot dog stand on Coney Island. Nathan Handwerker actually used to work for Feltman, but eventually he decided to set up his own competing hot dog stand right next door on Coney Island. He called it Nathan's Famous. To go head-to-head with his old boss, Nathan sold his hot dogs for just 5 cents, which was half the price of Feltman's. The thing was, that low price made some folks wonder about the quality. To build trust and prove his 100% beef hot dogs were top-notch, Nathan got really creative with his marketing. He held a hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July, right there in his very first year. Plus, he even hired actors dressed up in nice clothes to stand in front of his stand and eat his hot dogs. That strategy worked like a charm, convincing passers-by that Nathan's Famous must be famous for a good reason. His wife's secret spice recipe played a big part in building that reputation, too. By the 1950s, Nathan's Famous had become a chain. And that hot dog eating contest at the original stand, it's still a yearly tradition on the 4th of July. Nathan's Famous isn't just where a brand started. It's really where an industry began, showing everyone that a little innovation, smart marketing, and a really tasty product can create a legend that lasts for over a century. A&W, 1919.
Remember A&W beer?
Continuing our trip, let's move on to a name that's even older than sliced bread. Back in 1919, before any...
Back a second, guys, I have to do something. Actually, we actually had A&W here in Three Rivers at one time. We actually had A&W here in Three Rivers at one time. A&W, we had one of those here in Three Rivers at one time.
Someone even used the term fast food. Roy W. Allen set up a root beer stand in Lodi, California. That day was special. A welcome home celebration for World War I veterans. The perfect occasion for a refreshing drink. That event marked the birth of something that would later become a fast food empire. In 1922, Allen teamed up with Frank Wright. They combined their initials to name the company, A&W. A&W quickly became famous for those frosty, ice-cold mugs of root beer. What's really interesting is that A&W was one of the very first companies to use the franchise model. They started franchising back in 1926, paving the way for a system that proved successful and expanded internationally. By the 1970s, can you believe it? A&W actually had more locations than McDonald's. A&W also pioneered the very first drive-in service in California back in 1923. Their root beer is still what they're most famous for, and many folks consider it the best root beer out there. A&W root beer still uses that original secret blend of herbs, bark, spices, and berries. And those iconic frosty mugs? They weren't just for serving drinks, they were some of the restaurant's first merchandise. And they're still a beloved symbol of the brand.
We used to A&W here.
A&W's success wasn't just about the root beer, though. They built their menu around classic American favorites.
We actually had an A&W here in Three Rivers, guys. We also had A&W in Mishawaka, Indiana, but the A&W here in Three Rivers cut down, and the A&W in Mishawaka is just a KFC now. So yeah, it kind of sucks.
Like burgers, hot dogs, and fries. Introducing the Papa Burger line in the 1960s created a memorable brand that really appealed to families. A&W has shown incredible resilience, not just surviving the Great Depression and even COVID, but thriving. They're always looking for ways to innovate, embracing technology like self-serve kiosks and centralized POS systems to make the customer experience even better. A&W has managed to keep its core identity while adapting to markets around the world, tweaking the menu for local tastes, like serving fried chicken with rice in Indonesia. Being willing to adjust while still keeping a focused
Coffee shop
menu
driving.
and brand identity has helped A&W stay relevant for generations.
It's no longer around here though.
White Castle,
White Castle,
1921. Now let's
White
make
Castle.
our way east to Wichita, Kansas, the unlikely hometown of a burger revolution. Back in 1921, this is where White Castle was born, thanks to the vision of Billy Ingram and Walter Anderson. While burgers weren't new, Anderson,
Sliders.
a cook with a knack for innovation, dreamed of making them faster, better, and more consistent. Teaming up with Ingram, a sharp businessman, they opened the first White Castle and introduced the world to the slider, that iconic little square hamburger we all know today.
Yep.
White Castle wasn't just about the food, it was about changing perceptions.
What the hell?
After the horrors revealed in Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, Americans were wary of ground beef. The founders tackled this head-on, building sparkling white restaurants with stainless steel and porcelain exteriors that radiated cleanliness and trust. The kitchens were open to view, so anyone could watch their burgers being made, and every worker wore crisp white uniforms, driving the message home. But innovation didn't stop at the decor. White Castle streamlined burger production by pioneering the assembly line kitchen, shaping the entire future of fast food. Their square patties, with 5 holes for quicker cooking, meant hot, tasty sliders were ready in moments. Selling them for just a nickel made White Castle a go-to spot for working families. Unlike many competitors, White Castle refused to franchise at first, keeping tight control over every detail, a move that helped them ride out tough times and set the gold standard for consistency. Today, White Castle remains a family-run company, beloved across the Midwest and beyond. Kewpie Hamburgers, 1923.
Never heard of Kewpie hamburgers.
From the heartland of America, we head to Flint, Michigan, where another early hamburger chain got its start.
Kewpie? Never heard of it.
In 1923, Kewpie Hamburgers holds the title of the second oldest hamburger company in the United States. Kewpie got its name from the popular Kewpie doll, and right from the beginning, Kewpie made significant contributions to the fast food industry. They were among the very first to offer curbside service. Think of curbside service as an early version of the modern drive-thru, where staff would bring your food right out to your car.
Never heard of Kewpie.
While today there are only a handful of Kewpie locations left,
Never heard of it.
mainly centered around Ohio, the chain's influence on fast food's evolution is undeniable.
Kewpie.
They helped popularize the idea of
K-E-W-D-P-P.
serving customers right in their vehicles,
Never heard of Kewpie.
a convenience that would later become a cornerstone of the industry.
Based in Michigan. Never
White Tower, 1926.
White Tower?
Just a few years after White Castle, a similarly named chain popped up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. White Tower was founded in 1926 by John and Thomas Sachs. This chain pretty clearly copied the White Castle model, right down to the white building architecture that looked like a little fortress. At its peak in the 1950s, White Tower had over 230 locations across the country. They offered affordable hamburgers and coffee, just like White Castle's strategy. White Tower's existence and growth showed just how strong an influence the White Castle model had in the early days of fast food. While White Tower isn't around today, it's a prime example of the competition and copycatting that happened in the industry's early years as businesses tried to replicate winning formulas. What memories do these classic fast food chains bring back for you? Maybe a first job, a family road trip, or just hanging out with friends. Share your thoughts and tell us which one was your favorite in the comments below. KFC, 1930.
Colonel Sanders.
Now let's rewind to the tough days of the 1930s, a time when the Great Depression left most Americans scrambling to get by. In the small town of Corbin, Kentucky, a man named Harland Sanders was just trying to make a living. Sanders had worked all sorts of jobs before landing at a Shell gas station, where he did something unusual. He set up a tiny dining area in the back and started cooking for travelers passing through. Folks soon discovered his Southern-style meals, but what really put him on the map was his incredible fried chicken, flavored with a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices.
Come on, Charlie. Use your new door. Let's go. I said go. Silly dog. I'm going to trade you for a cat. Red Bull gives you wings.
With Hotels.com, members save up to 20%. With that kind of discount, you could stay at a place with a killer spa. Get a manicure, clean up those mitts a little, eh? Hotels.com. Members save up to 20% at hundreds of thousands of hotels.
Sanders wasn't content to just serve good chicken. He wanted it to be great and fast. So he tinkered with pressure cookers, inventing a new way to fry chicken quickly without losing that home-cooked flavor. By the mid-1930s, his chicken was so beloved that he was dubbed Colonel Sanders, an image he soon leaned into, dressing in a white suit and black string tie. When a new highway threatened his business, Sanders hit the road himself, selling his recipe to restaurants all over America. By the 1960s, Kentucky Fried Chicken had become a true fast food legend, with Sanders' face and finger-licking good catchphrase recognized around the world. Today, KFC serves millions in more than 100 countries. But it all started with one man's drive, a secret recipe, and a dream on a dusty Kentucky roadside. Dee's Drive-In, 1932.
You ever heard of Dee's Drive-In?
Alongside Crystal in 1932, another drive-in chain emerged in Salt Lake City, Utah. D. Frederick Anderson opened the first Dee's restaurant in 1932. Inspired by drive-in restaurants in California, he launched Dee's Drive-In in 1954. Dee's Drive-In was known for its car hops and even had a clown mascot. At its peak, Dee's had 53 locations and became a cultural landmark in Utah. Eventually, the chain was sold to Hardee's. While Dee's Drive-In no longer exists independently, it was an important part of the history of drive-in service and the evolution of restaurants focused on the in-car customer experience. Crystal, 1932.
Never been to Crystal.
In the
Heard of
same
it, never
year,
been to it.
1932, another chain popped up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right in the middle of the Great Depression. Crystal was founded by Rhodey Davenport Jr. and J. Glenn Sherrill. Like White Castle, Crystal also offered those small, square hamburgers, sliders. This chain put a big emphasis on cleanliness and affordability. Because of this, Crystal quickly became a Southern favorite. Crystal is an example of how a successful business model, like White Castle's, could be replicated in other parts of the country, meeting the customer demand for a quick, clean, and economical meal. Crystal is still operating today, continuing to serve its signature sliders to customers across the South. Dairy Queen,
Dairy
1940.
Queen? Wow.
Moving into the 1940s, we come to a chain
Dairy
famous for its sweet
1940.
treats. On June 22nd, 1940, Sherb Noble opened the very first Dairy Queen store in Joliet, Illinois. This spot had a special
Also,
location
Philly, Chicago
right along
business,
the
hey.
legendary Route 66. Dairy Queen brought soft serve ice cream to the masses. The soft serve formula itself was
So Dairy
developed in
Queen is
1938
technically...
by John Fremont and Bradley McCullough.
So Dairy Queen is a Chicago-based
DQ quickly
company.
became the go-to place for dessert. Within its first decade, Dairy Queen expanded through franchising. the iconic DQ cone curl became as legendary as the soft, smooth texture of the ice cream itself. Over time, DQ's menu grew to include hot food items too, but those soft-serve desserts remained the chain's hallmark. The Blizzard, in particular, launched in 1985, became a sensation, selling 75 million in its first year alone. Dairy Queen was one of the first restaurant chains to be franchised. What's unique is that the first location wasn't in a big city like most other chains, but in Joliet, Illinois. Dairy Queen adapted by adding drive-thrus in the 1980s. DQ's story shows the lasting appeal of a unique product and the ability to expand from a single spot to a popular chain, even when you don't start in a major urban center. McDonald's, 1940.
McDonald's.
Let's talk about a name just about everyone recognizes, McDonald's.
Downhill.
But did you know that the Golden Arches story actually began way before Ray Kroc came on the scene?
Yep.
The real origins go back to 1940, when brothers Richard and Maurice McDonald opened a little place called McDonald's BBQ in San Bernardino, California. At first, it was your typical drive-in. Big menu, car hops on roller skates, and lots of noise. But the McDonald brothers weren't satisfied with typical. In 1948, they shut the doors for a complete overhaul, stripping the menu down to just burgers, fries, and shakes. They introduced a radical, speedy service system, a kind of assembly line for food, serving up meals fast and cheap. Burgers were only 15 cents. This streamlined approach was so efficient that it caught the eye of Ray Kroc, a milkshake machine salesman who saw huge potential. Kroc jumped in, opened his own McDonald's in Illinois in 1955, and eventually bought out the brothers. His vision was huge. He wanted thousands of restaurants, and soon, those iconic golden arches popped up around the world. Today, McDonald's is everywhere, serving billions and always reinventing itself with menu innovations and new technology. Beyond the food, McDonald's has made a real mark through charities and community work, becoming not just a fast food giant, but a global cultural symbol. Thank you for watching. To continue with more content, comment yes to let us know you're still following. Carl's Jr., 1941.
Yeah, been a Harding's,
Back
Carl's
to California,
Jr.'s.
we visit Carl's Jr., a chain
Harding's.
that grew from a hot dog cart. In 1941, Carl Karcher started his business with a hot dog cart in Los Angeles. He later expanded to a full-service restaurant and launched Carl's Jr. in 1956. Carl's Jr. quickly became popular throughout the West Coast for its signature charbroiled burgers. This charbroiling technique created a unique flavor that set Carl's Jr. apart from its competitors.
Carl's Jr.'s,
Today,
Harding's, same thing.
Carl's Jr. operates under the umbrella of CKE Restaurants, which also owns the Hardee's chain. While it doesn't have the global scale of McDonald's or KFC, Carl's Jr. has built a loyal customer base and maintained its position in the market, particularly on the West Coast. Chick-fil-A, 1946.
Yep, been Chick-fil-A twice so
From
far.
the West Coast, let's fly southeast to Hapeville, Georgia. There, in 1946, what started as the Dwarf Grill eventually grew into Chick-fil-A. Founded by Truett Cathy, the Dwarf Grill was a small restaurant initially. Truett Cathy started serving fried chicken at the Dwarf Grill in 1946. He initially sold burgers and other classic diner food. However, his restaurant eventually became especially known for its chicken sandwiches. Truett. Cathy is credited with inventing the boneless chicken sandwich. He worked tirelessly to improve his creation for 20 years, perfecting it based on customer
20
feedback.
years.
In 1967, Cathy opened the first official restaurant named Chick-fil-A in a mall in Atlanta. His chicken sandwiches, already a local favorite, became even more widely known.
In the mall.
Chick-fil-A has built a dedicated following thanks to its signature chicken sandwiches and outstanding customer service. While the chain is very selective about opening new franchised locations, Chick-fil-A has gradually expanded nationwide, with locations in 48 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, and has even grown internationally with locations in Canada.
Okay.
Today, Chick-fil-A is ranked as the third largest restaurant chain in the United States, with over 3,200 locations. Chick-fil-A's success is attributed to its focus on a high-quality core product, exceptional customer service, and its company values. In-N-Out Burger,
Never had.
1948.
In-N-Out is
Returning to California once
something I
more,
don't want.
we'll explore another West Coast icon,
For hot
In-N-Out
now.
Burger. Harry and Esther Snyder opened the first In-N-Out Burger
For hot
stand in
now.
Baldwin Park, California, in 1948. This was California's very first drive-through hamburger stand. Harry Snyder
For
actually
hot
invented
now.
the two-way intercom system, allowing customers to order from their cars without leaving. This was a major step forward in the development of drive-through service. In-N-Out Burger is famous for its emphasis on fresh ingredients and a simple menu. From the beginning, they focused on a limited menu, and that menu has hardly changed since. However, for those in the know, there's a not-so-secret menu posted on their website, adding a little flair for those looking to venture beyond the classic options. Thanks to their consistent, high-quality product, they have a huge, loyal customer base today. While the chain's reputation has spread far and wide, the restaurant locations remain primarily focused in the western United States. Whataburger, 1950.
Nope, we don't got those in Michigan either.
From California, we head to Texas, home to another iconic burger chain. On August 8,
It's a hot now
1950, Harmon Dobson opened the first Whataburger in Corpus Christi,
In-N-Out,
Texas.
Whataburger are both not.
His
They're
goal
both
was
hot and out
simple.
clones.
To serve a burger so big, it took two hands to hold, and so good that customers would exclaim, "What a burger!" And so, the name Whataburger was born. In an era where fast food competitors were cutting out custom orders to maximize efficiency, Whataburger instead prioritized each customer.
Daya Oat Cream Blend cured my fear of missing dairy. Thanks, Daya.
Booking.com has all kinds of stays because a city
She knows
hotel
doing
is
pretty
right
good.
for some, but not quite right.
I can't help it if I'm up in
From the start,
Nope.
all burgers were made to order, a philosophy they still hold today. Within just the first decade of business, Whataburger became a chain. In 1961, Dobson came up with the distinctive orange A-frame building design, easily recognizable from miles away. Whataburger is open 24 hours a day and has a fierce fan base in its home state of Texas. Today, locations have spread to several states